Hi, welcome to SAP UI5 tutorial for the beginners. So in this tutorial we are going to learn how to create a simple registration form so with the help of SAP UI5. Okay, so let's say here I have opened my Eclipse and I'm gonna create a new project. So it's SAP UI5 project. So the name of the SAP5 is, the name of the project is registration form. Okay, so let me select only SAPM, and in here let's say name of the view is test. Okay, click next and finish. Okay, so now we are going to create a project. Yes, the project is created. Yeah, yes. And if you can see here, as we discussed in the previous tutorial, so this is how the project structure got created. So let's say this is let's say the name of the or title of the page is registration form. Okay, save this and then try to run this project. So go to the run as and go select this web app preview. So yes, let it run. Yes, so if you can see here, so now the project is up and running. So now copy this URL and open the Google Chrome and then paste it here. Yes, so this is how it is, right? So now what we can do is, so we need to develop this registration form. So let me go to this SAP UI5 documentation. If you can see here, so there is something called as form. Okay, so let me go to this form. Okay, so where is this form is there, and then so it is deprecated. So let me search in a different API. So yes, you can see here form. Okay, so at the same time there is something called a simple form. We are not going to use this form, we are going to use a simple form now. Okay, so this form is belongs to this particular package, right? So in case if you want to import this library, so what you can do is go here and then go to this particular link and then this file and then create one XML namespace XML ns, okay, colon ef, okay, equals to, so put it over here. Okay, so at the same time there is something called as layout. So okay, so first what we can do is, so inside content by content, so we can create this one. Okay, so let me do this here. So here slash ef content and then slash so form. So now beautify this. So now you can see here I'm using now simple form by simple form control. Okay, so here name of the form you can give ID my form. Okay, so with minimum width I have given 1024. So if you want to give, you can give, otherwise you can neglect this one also. Okay, so class, so I can remove this one. So I don't want all these attributes to be specified over here. Title of the form is registration form. Okay, let's save this, and now what you can do is just give the title of this particular thing. So let me go here and then put the core. Okay, and save this. So now here title I'm giving. So now let me save this particular project and go here and then refresh this one, so you can see the output of this like this. So registration form, so this is you know uh, uh, the title of this particular form, and this is the content inside the form, right? So now we can use the labels to give the names, right? So now what I can do is, so I'll copy this. Let me wait. So now we are going to create a small basic information. So let me go here, then paste it here, control A, control shift F, and then here you can see L. L refers to a different namespace. So what is the different namespace? So that L refers to sap.ui.layout. Okay, so now let me go to this particular line and paste it over here. So you can see, so I'm just specifying what L is here, right? So input, so I don't want anything in here, the value, and I don't want, so just remove this, and placeholder you can say first name, and then middle name, and then the next one is last name. right? Save this and then go back to your browser and refresh the browser. You can see what is the first name and middle name and last name, right? So the next one is, in case if you want, so let's say this is, we created some fields which are belongs to name. So like this, since it is a registration form, so we will be having so many things in this particular form. So let's see what are all the next fields, right? So now let's say, so the next one is, so in case if you want to render an icon, so the user icon, so in here, so then obviously we should have an icon over there, right? So now for that, so what I'm doing in here is I'm just creating one icon. So now if you go back here and then refresh, so you can see one icon here, okay, user icon. So after that, so we are going to give some gender information, okay. So the label, so here the label is the gender, and then the next two things are the radio boxes, radio buttons. If you can see here, so next label is gender, and then radio button by radio button, I'm using the radio button group control, and then here buttons by buttons is an aggregation. I'm using two buttons in here, so male and female. So let me save this and go back to the browser and then refresh the browser. You can see the gender got created. So in the same way, there is a date of birth field, right? So what I can do is I'll create one date of birth field. So let me go to this one. So below to this, okay, so below to this, so this is the date of birth label I have created, and for this obviously, so let me delete everything, okay. Date picker by date picker, I want only this one, okay. So using this date picker control, you can render the date picker, okay. So save this file and go back to the browser and refresh the browser over here. So you can see there is a date field rendered, okay. So date of birth. So after that, like this, let's say there is some father's name. Let's say in case if you want to prompt the user to enter the father's name, then obviously there should be a label for that, and then corresponding input control, right? So this is a label, and name of the text is father name, and then so input field. So since it is in input field, we are gonna ask the user to enter this father's name. So let me put the label here and then input field, okay. So let's not give the value and all, just configure all these things. So go back here, then refresh the browser, so you can see the father name, right? So in the same way, in case if you want to ask the user to enter the contact information, so then so you have to create one label called contact number, right? So go here and then go to the code and then paste it here. This is a contact number label, and then you're gonna create an input field for that, right? So this is the input field. If you can see layout data by layout data, so this is how you are going to specify the length of the field in here, okay. So let's save this one and then go here and then refresh the browser, so you can see contact number. So you can see here contact number, enter father's name. These are all the placeholders. You can see here the placeholders we have created. So at the same way, in case if you want to ask the user to enter the alternative number of that particular student, I can say, yeah. So what you can do is, so you can create one label with the text alternative number, and then obviously it is a input field. So for that, so just go here and then keep the input field, so then obviously it will render the input field, okay. So here this is a placeholder, okay. Save this and go back to the browser and refresh the browser. You can see one more field in here, contact number. So in the same way, so use if you want to ask the user to enter the academic details, for which academic the student is joining, right? So in case if you want to ask all these details, you just create one more label, core title called academic details, right? So that means this will be considered as a different section, okay. In this academic title, so you can enter what is the joining course. So I'm just going to create a joining course, okay. So the joining course, I'm going to create a select box, right? So for the select box can be either, let's say if the student is joining for the first class or second class or 10th or master degrees or bachelor degrees or whatever it is, okay. So now save this one. So if you can see here, this is a core title I have created for this will be considered as a different section. Now save this one and go back to the browser and refresh the browser, so you can see this is considered as a different section, right? So what is the joining course? This is a drop down box, but I haven't given any values in here. Okay, in the same way, you can ask for what is the specialization. Let's say if the student is joining for the bachelor degree or a master degree, let's say the engineering. So what is the specialization? Let's say whether it is an ECE or BSc or some different branch over here. So to create the branches, then obviously what you have to do is, so you have to give the select box. So this core item, so I will explain you all these things later. So this is comes under uh, what do we say, data binding concept. Okay, so let's not put all these things now, just create only a select box. So now you are gonna ask the user, or user in the sense user of this application, I can say, okay, to enter, to select the specialization. Now, so we have created one label, and beside this there is a select box. Now let's go here and refresh the browser. Let's see the output. So here it is a joining date, and then there is a specialization, right? Yes, so like this you can create what is the joining year. Let's say if the student, there is a chance that the student can start from the beginning, or the student can join in the mid of the course, let's say for the second year, from the second year or something, right? So just create one label called joining day, joining year, and then just put one more thing in here. And then, so let's not, okay, let's I will explain you all these things maybe in the going further in the next tutorials, so don't consider this. So just we are gonna prompt the user to select the joining year, and then in here select box. Now if you go back to the browser, okay, if you go back to the browser, so just refresh the browser, so you can see there is a joining date. So you can see here the scroll bar of this particular page. So once the content of this page keep growing, then obviously the scroll bar will generate automatically. So in the same way, so you can ask for what are all the documents submitted. So let's say this is a registration form. We are gonna ask the complete details about, we are gonna enter the complete details about uh, the student. So what are the, let's say these are all some sample example which I have taken. So in here I just created one field, like document submitted. So and then we are gonna enter this one inside a text area. So now save this one and go back here and then refresh this. So let's see, you can see, so there is mention all the documents submitted, so at the time of joining, right, at the time of registering this. Okay, so this is what. And then so the next one is, let me show you this one. So then after we are asking for the documentation, so we are going to fee paid in advance. So how much he is gonna pay the fees at the time of joining. Okay, so let's enter this one as well. Okay, save this and go back to the browser and refresh this. So you can see one more field in here. So this is fee paid in advance. Okay, so this is an amount. So if you can see here, this is how we are going to create the registration form. Okay, so then if you want to ask the student to enter the residence details, so now you can create one more section like this. So core colon title. Okay, core colon title. So save this one, and then if you can see here, there is only two sections. Now we are going to create one more section. So refresh this, so it will create one more section. So inside this section we are going to ask the total address of the student. Okay, so let's say if you want to ask the user to enter uh, the street number, so this is the label we created, and we are gonna create one input box beside this. Okay, so you just come here and then keep input box over here, right? So in the same way, in case if you want to ask the house number, okay, it's completely it's an address field we are gonna mention in here. So save this. Okay, I'm going to create one more input field. Okay, so now if you go back to the screen and then refresh this, you will get to know how it got rendered. See here, so this is a street number, and this is, see, the I have created the two input fields, and if you can see, so this is bit long, bit lengthy, and this is a small input field. So how we are going to define this one? So this can be defined with the help of grid data. Okay, so this is L3 or M4. So let's say if you keep it as M4, this is L4. So save this and go back here and refresh this, so you can see this got increased a bit, right? So in the same way, so let's ask for let's ask for the zip code. Okay, so now go here, and then this is the one, and this is a label which we created, right? So then for this we are going to put some, we are gonna create some input fields. Okay, so copy this and then go to this one and paste it here and save this. So this is a zip code, and then one is value city, right? So just let's not give the value to this for the being of time, and then remove this and save this and go back here. Okay, go back here and refresh the browser, so you can see zip code. Okay, field got created. So in the same way, you can ask for the country to select something, right? So what we can do is we can create a label, and then we can create a select box beside the label. Okay, like this. Okay, select country, and I have created, uh, you know, uh, I have created some 4 items in here. So save this and go back to the browser and refresh this, and you can see there is a country field got generated. You can select whatever you want. Okay, so in the same way you can ask for the residence, current residence address, right? So in case if you want to create one more field, then obviously we have to use, sorry, one more section, we have to use core colon title, and inside this title again street and house number. We are going to create street and house number. So for that, so create a label and then create 2 input fields in here, right? So let me remove this and let me remove this. Okay, so save this and go back to the screen in here and then refresh this. See, current residence address. So you can see the 2 fields got rendered in here. So in the same way you can create one more field with a different label, right? So for that, see here, so I'm creating one more label called zip code, and then what is the zip code, and then what is the city it belongs to, right? So let me remove this. Okay, save this and go back to the browser and then refresh the browser. You can see here zip code got created. Okay, so in the same way you can create one more label called country, and you can give uh, some different control called select box. Okay, so here I have created that, and see, so we have created one more label called country, and then we are giving the select box and then layout data and everything. So this layout data defines the width of this particular select box. So save this and then go back to the screen and then refresh this. So if you can see here, see, so we are going to fill the total form and then we are going to submit this total form. So this is how we are going to design, um, um, I can say, the registration form. So this is not exactly registration form, so but this is an example. I'm showing how to create the forms with the help of SAPUI5. Okay, so then, so if you can see here, in case if you want to give the save button, so either you have to give in here or you can use the footer of the page, right? So let's try to use the footer of the page. Okay, so if you can see here, for this page there is no footer, so go to this screen, go to the content, XML, and then create a footer for this page. Okay, we created a footer. So as we discussed in the previous tutorials, the footer has an aggregation called content, right? So we are going to create a content of this particular footer. Again, this content accepts only bar, right? So that is the reason. So we are going, sorry, this toolbar content, sorry, this footer content accepts only bar. That means either toolbar or something. Okay, footer content, I don't think so footer has the content. Okay, let me check here. So go to the page. Okay, so go to page and then go to the footer is, yes, so footer is, there is no aggregation called content inside the footer, and footer is going to accept this kind of control, right? So for that, so instead of content you just use a toolbar control in here. Okay, so toolbar and then toolbar. So it's going to accept a control of type toolbar, and the toolbar has something called as content aggregation. Okay, so let's close the aggregation. Inside this, what we can do is we can give a save button and then cancel button. Okay, so save button, and I have created two buttons. So now if we create the two buttons like this, these two buttons will be rendered in the left side. So let's save this and go back to the browser and then refresh the browser. You can see these two are created in the left. You can see there is a color. So how this color got you know highlighted over here? So because there is something called as type of the button. So type of the button, if the type of the button is accept, so then it will render in a green color. If the type of the button is reject, then it will render the button in red color. Okay, so yes, that's fine. So now in case if you want to take these two buttons, okay, in case if you want to take these two buttons to the right, then obviously we need to give a space in the left side. So for that, give a space. Okay, so give a space here and save this and go back to the browser and refresh the browser, and you can see these two buttons in here. So you can fill all this form, right? You can fill all this form, some ABC and ABC and ABC. You can select either male or female, or you can select the date, and then so you can enter all these details, right? So then finally, so then click on submit. So this is how you are going to design the form. Okay, so once you design the form, you are going to implement the logic behind this. So if you want to implement the logic behind this particular registration form, obviously for this particular view, there is a control defined. So what is that control? Controller. So this is the controller. So you are going to write the JS logic in this particular controller to control this particular view. Okay, yes. So that's it for this tutorial. So let's meet in the next tutorial. So in the next tutorial we are going to discuss the binding related informations. Thanks for watching.